Sounds good, Chris. Hey everyone, this is Chris Keys for Premier Guitar. We're hanging out, well, I'm hanging out in Nashville. I actually don't even know where Chris is at, but we're here to talk about the new J Rockett pedal, or one of the new J Rockett pedals, the APE. So let's just dive right into it. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great. Little did you know, I'm actually your neighbor. I'm in Brentwood.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm just up in East Nashville, just over by the football stadium, so not too far from you.
20 minutes.
All right. Well, anyways, I was going to say I just dropped my dog off down there at Cool Springs. But anyways, going ahead, let's talk about what everyone's probably here to tune in for. Not my dog, but talking about your new delay pedal or delay looper. How do you guys classify it?
Yeah, you know, it is kind of confusing. It's basically a recreation of a 1973 Echoplex internally from input to output. So it's not just the preamp, it's everything. And then a few things were compensations for not having tape heads in there. To try to recreate the entire thing from top to bottom and its influence. If you've ever played an old Echoplex, there's really not a whole lot to them once you remove the tape. It really just imparts an inherent sound, makes it fatter, warmer, things like that. And that's why a lot of guys like, you know, Eric Johnson, Eddie Van Halen, people like that used them in front of the old Marshalls because it just gave them a little bit more. So the idea was, you know, let's create a pedal that does that. But it also has the ability to loop in your own delay. We prefer like a flat digital delay, and it'll literally turn your delay into a Echoplex. It takes over the controls. So sorry if I keep looking down because I'm looking at the pedal, but it'll control the repeats, the delay time, and then the record head level. So you can have almost a distorted repeat. So like old rockabilly stuff had kind of that, you know, slappy, gainy thing on it, and or you can turn up the mix and turn the record head down to get a nice, you know, smooth, more of a classic tape head thing. But it gives you a lot of variety, and you can use it as just the preamp, so to speak, or you can engage the loop. So you, whatever delay or whatever you're running through the loop, you can engage that and bring it in or out, but always have the access to that Echoplex tone, which is pretty cool.
Did you guys have anyone in shop have like an old one that you base it off of, or how did you kind of, I guess, recreate or reverse engineer for your pedal based on something that, you know, everyone's known and played through?
Yeah, I personally have one. It's a 73 Echoplex. That's the one that we based it off. But you may be familiar with him because you live here. But a guy here named Eric Borash, everybody calls him Ebo. Like a lot of those Tom Bukovac videos you see, I have one right here, one of his reverbs that he makes, and I have like 4 of his amps. He makes great stuff. He actually used to work with Mike Battle, the guy that invented the Echoplex, the owner of Maestro, for years. And we actually worked with him to design this circuit because he's the guy that all the tape gurus or the guys that love the tape delays take their tape delays in for repair. As you know, they need them all the time. He was kind of the right guy to go to really, you know, make sure that this thing was accurate. You know, it runs at 22.5 volts. It's using as accurately as we could be the parts. You know, some aren't available obviously, but today's equivalent to those things, and it turned out really cool. It's a unique pedal. I wouldn't say it's a pedal that you plug in and you go, wow, it's changed my entire sound. It's kind of an enhancement pedal, but it's also a tool. It allows for things that I probably haven't even discovered. You can go in or out of the send or out of the return. One will be a non-controllable boost. One will be a controllable boost. All sorts of things. You know, you could try boost pedals through it and bring them in through the loop. You can try anything. You know, you may fail. I don't know. I haven't tried everything through it, but it's an interesting tool. But it does give you that, you know, high voltage, high headroom thing, and it really does make delay pedals, when you loop them through it, sound better, just warmer, more musical, especially digital.
I was going to say, what is the digital delay we heard before? And then as you explained to kind of the signal chain you got going on, what people are hearing, why don't you just dive into the pedal and kind of, you know, tweak some more and let everyone kind of hear what you're working with?
Okay, so the delay pedal that I'm using, because it is a recreation of a tape delay, but is the Echoplex-style, Strymon Echoplex-style. And it's just set at 1 repeat, and then the mix is at 100% wet. And that's how you should set anything going through this. So then the APE takes over the repeats, takes over not the delay time, but the mix, and then the record head level. So like I'll just hit a quick chord. You can kind of hear that do its natural decay. Now I can turn the repeats knob down all the way, and it'll give me one repeat. I can turn it all the way up, and it'll probably go into oscillation. So I can turn that down and bring that oscillation out of there. Then I've got the mix knob. If I go 100% on it, it's pretty much matches the output. See, there's 100% wet. I have no signal and then the delay. So it can go 100% wet, but obviously you're not going to run it that way. Then I have the record head knob. So if I turn the record head knob up, the repeats get louder and a little more distorted. Can you hear that? So if I turn the time down and turn the repeats down, I'll turn that wow and flutter off. You have the cool slapback. And everything functions the same. You do control some things from your delay, but you control the repeats, the repeats, the record head, and the mix from the APE pedal. And it just takes anything that might be a sterile sounding delay. Typical digital delays can be real cold and sterile. It'll warm them up and it'll give that decay like a tape delay. So the things that I loved about a tape delay compared to any other delay, and the reason why they can't really nail it, is because you're recording and erasing constantly. And what it creates is it's like a melting delay. So they just kind of dissipate into a reverb. So ultimately when you're playing like a lead passage, it doesn't walk all over what you're trying to do. It just kind of melts away. And that's the magic of a tape delay. And of course when the tape gets old, you get that wow and flutter and stuff that people build into the digital delays. But for the most part, it's just basically turning it truly into an Echoplex. Like, there are other pedals out there like the EP booster, things like that. They're more of a boost, not necessarily a recreation of that actual circuit. So we just wanted to be vintage accurate, so to speak. It's great because, like, if you have an overdrive, like, if you don't mind, I'll give you a sample.
Oh yeah.
So like, here's a pedal of ours called the HRM, and you can kind of see how the APE pedal affects that overdrive. I'll turn off the delay for now, but here's just the HRM pedal, one of our overdrives. Now if you bring in the circuit of the APE just in series like that, you'll hear it fatten up. So I'll play and I'll click it in while I'm playing. So you could hear it just get bigger. Well, then you can bring in, after that, you can bring in the loop section, and the record head and the repeats and the mix all become different functions. So the repeats control becomes sort of a treble control, and I say sort of because it has a small range. And then the mix control, it becomes kind of an output control, I guess, and then the record head just adds gain. So it's interesting. So I'll go through 2 stages, just the HRM, then just bringing in the circuit of the Echoplex, and then bringing in the loop. And you'll hear how it kind of just increases in gain. So anyway, hopefully that comes across, but it's a nice enhancement for any kind of overdrive. And then it acts differently if you hit the front end of an overdrive. It's really nice. And of course, all along you can bring your delay pedal in, so I'll do, and then bring in the delay. And then I can increase the time. And then the repeats are done on the APE pedal. So it sounds nice, but those are distorted repeats. So if I turn the record head down and the mix knob up, it's a little less distorted, a little less overdriven. Then of course you turn the overdrive off. So I can get that real spacey, you know, like that opening piece I was playing. You can go real heavy with the delay. I get even deeper with it if I want. So it's kind of a cool, that tape delay swirliness, and but it maintains that chimey top end.
One thing I've noticed about just hearing it, and since I've never played one or nor heard one, I know Jason, my colleague, reviewed it for the magazine, is that it's weird because I don't know what's happening, but through the headphones, it's the actual, like, the air or the oxygen that goes into the repeats. Like there's a lot more character than what you would normally, or what I would normally associate with the delay, especially through Zoom and all the stuff we're hearing it.
Yeah, and I would love to be able to do a full sample of an APE, but that would require, you know, unplugging this and unplugging that. And but just from my own personal experience, you know, the El Cap's a great delay, but it tends to be a little cold. It just flat out repeats smoother and is a lot warmer and more musical through the APE. And I believe that that's the case with most digital delays. I haven't tried them all, but I can't see it not being the case, just because you're adding all of that circuitry that's really designed to do that. So it makes it more fun to play, just more inspiring.
Yeah, there's that. It's there if they need it, because some people do gravitate toward the dryness or the blandness of a digital delay. But having your pedal inserted into their pedal board is a way that they can kind of live in both worlds.
Yeah, and it's nice because you can turn the whole thing off, you know, and whatever inherent sound you have is great, and hopefully it enhances what you've got. But you have multiple stages of enhancement, and like I said, it is a tool to just bring your delays in, and you could effectively loop 5 delays through it, right? If you wanted 5 different delay sounds, you would just have to turn whichever delay on that you wanted it to work with, but it'll do that. So it's really interesting when you start thinking about how this thing works and how it takes over the repeats and takes over a few of the functions. Just thinking about it's pretty interesting. I remember the guys out in the UK that pedal show with Mick and Daniel, and they reviewed it, and I could see Daniel's brain. He was just thinking, that's interesting, right? Because it's taking one repeat and then via an analog circuit is circulating it through more analog circuitry, and then back through the digital delay for that one repeat again, and then it filters that. So that starts layering those things on top of each other like a piece of tape would.
It's almost one of those pedals, some pedals like you alluded to at the beginning, was you get it out, you put it in, it does what it does, and you're like instantly gratified, boom. This pedal, you may be instantly gratified if you know what you're doing or why you're getting it, but then also as you spend more time with it and it kind of gets ingratiated within your rig and your sound, more doors are unlocked that you didn't know that were there.
Yeah, I definitely encourage people to experiment with it, and I'm sure people will find things that we never found. And we are coming out with a version that is a full delay pretty soon. It's basically, we're putting a shark chip in it like the El Capistan, and it's there, you know, very expensive chip just to do one repeat. But it'll have all the function on it that, you know, so it's all housed in one. But it'll have tap tempo, wet and dry outputs. You'll be able to bypass the preamp if you want. It'll be interesting. And we're hoping that it is a true replacement for, you know, the people who love tape echoes. Because sonically it's remarkable. I've heard the prototype several times. I can't tell a difference. I can't feel a difference. Certainly can't hear a difference. But you know, it's an elusive thing because not many people have had experience with a tape delay. They've heard them, you know, on their famous old recordings like the old Eric Johnson things and Van Halen things and on and on and on. And they have a sound, but a lot of people may not have known that that's what they were hearing. So it's one of those things, right? Like I said, it doesn't impart a massive change to your sound. It's just an enhancement. And for those who really understand what it is that a tape delay does, whether it's like the new full tone or the, you know, whatever tape delay is out there, they get it. So this is kind of for them. And we knew that this wasn't going to be like for the masses kind of a thing. This was for the guys that were really hobbyists in delays and tape delays. I think they'll have fun experimenting with it.
Any clue what that price may be in response to the $199 in the current pedal?
I don't just yet. And there'll definitely be more, right? Just more circuitry, more. Those chips can get really expensive unless you buy them in mass quantity. But we're hoping that we could hit the $299 mark, but it could go as high as like $349. We try to keep everything priced, to a point where most musicians can afford it. But I think everybody's used to the fact that delay pedals are just flat out expensive. I mean, we're also working on an analog delay that it's basically a recreation. We hired Howard Davis, the guy that created the original Deluxe Memory Man.
Oh wow!
And we wanted to recreate the '90s Deluxe Memory Man, but add the tap tempos, stereo in, stereo outs, and stuff like that. But they're making those Bucket Brigade chips again, and they're just unbelievably expensive. So that's why all those old school, like the Diamond delay and some of that old stuff that are true recreations with the Bucket Brigade chips, they're $500 pedals. It's hard to avoid because all that stuff just costs so much. But like I said, people I think are used to paying more for those. Doesn't mean you have to, and doesn't mean that's what you want. But it's at least going to be competitive. And we're trying to keep it as underpriced, so to speak, as we can.
Great, Chris. Thanks for being so thorough and giving us a lot of opportunities to hear this pedal and kind of where it falls in within a pedal board, your chain, and how people can use it. And then hopefully that inspires people to, like you said, kind of get crazy with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd actually love to find out things that we never even thought of. Some guys see that stuff.
Yeah. And sometimes it's almost until you make a left turn, then you realize that you made the right turn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
And so if people want to check out more of your guys' pedals, whether it's this, the Brover Drive, and all the other stuff you do, like the Archer, where should people go online? Check it out.
Obviously, you can go to any one of our dealers throughout the U.S., but www.rockettpedals.com. That's going to be the best place to get at least the videos, that we hire people to do. That's where I have a little bit of control over how we, want to represent the product. So the website is a good place for that.
Great, Chris. I appreciate your time and thank you so much.